We're here with the lovely artist, Alana Ladson, to kind of talk specifically about art creation and artwork.
Period.
Period.
Yeah, we loved that.
That was
Yeah.
a good. That was a good one.
That was a
I
good.
finally
yeah,
got there, right?
I really loved that. All right, cool. So, should I introduce myself?
Tell the audience about what you do and some of the certain points you want to hit.
Cool. Well, hello. My name is Alana Ladson. I am from New Haven, Connecticut. Illustrator, painter, traditional and digital. I've been doing artwork since I was about 2 years old. So there's a lot of love there, a lot of practice, a lot of stick figures at first. We started off with kind of like a rectangle and then a circle at the top. There was no neck. So, like my parents loved that. They ate it up, but, now I can't get away with it. But now I'm a lot better. I've got a lot of color and different things under my belt, done some gallery shows and started a collective. There's been a lot of things that I've been really blessed to experience as an artist. So it's been an amazing journey, and I'm hoping to do more.
So I think it becomes important that you mentioned a few. You've involved in collectives. So the Rooted Collective is one of your particular creations, and let's kind of start there in terms of why you chose to do that, and also the inspiration behind the name.
Okay. Well, I feel like. Well, let's start from the beginning. The New Haven Artist Corps is how I was able to start Rooted Collective. So what I did was apply for one of the grants, and I was hoping that I could start this collective just because a lot of people in New Haven, a lot of wonderful artists, don't know each other, kind of like two ships passing in the night type of deal. And so I'm like, why don't we know each other? I wanna know these people, and I wanna make art with them. And so I was like, why can't I apply for funding to do that? It's a worthwhile cause. And I called it Rooted because it was New Haven based, and that's where I'm from. So I'm like, these are our roots. So I thought it made a lot of sense to call it the Rooted Collective. And people were into it. We had our first cohort this past summer, and it was amazing. We had 3 different exhibition spots, which were really great. Different community spaces that people liked to visit. So lots of people came, they ate for free, got to talk to the artists in person. It was really, really fun. So hoping to do that. Well, not hoping, I am
There we
going
go. Speak it to existence.
I mean,
please.
It's true. I have to now. Yeah, our second year is happening this year, happening this summer. So exciting times.
So I think I don't kind of jump in there quickly. So when you talk specifically about rooted and use the word grounded, obviously what I've read from the Rooted Collective is that it speaks specifically to our Black small groups, BIPOC women, and non-binary. How do we think about rooting voice in terms of artistic expression?
I think rooting your voice is however you need that to happen. It's no specific way that you can create your roots, right? You plant the seeds, but whatever seeds that you want to plant, it's on you. You can plant watermelons or you could plant flowers. You put them in the ground and then, you figure out how to best take care of them. That's just the way it goes. But I just don't always believe in linear type of thinking when it comes to creating something. I think you should do what works best for you and what works best for the community that you're trying to serve.
And that's why I kind of love the way you describe it, because I asked that question when we think about multiple voices happening, but also how is space created? And you creating this collective of individuals that are creating art, creating space, creating time, but also being able to jostle and throw around different ideas as spaces of inspiration, because sometimes that doesn't always happen. It normally says we have a space, but there are kind of like you say, linear lines about what that conversation is and what we do, but also creating this openness. And I want to speak kind of more to even for you, how did you figure out creating that space and actually finding that space for yourself?
For myself? Oh, wow. I don't know.
we get it.
I mean,
we get it.
I think, this is deep. Oh, no.
I told you to get into it.
Okay, finding that space for myself, I think I just walk around and just kind of I don't know if you see, I do a lot of like TikTok and Instagram. It's an addiction. It's really bad. But I'll go on and there's this one meme where there's like cats that scooch into these spaces and it's like, I'm just gonna sneak past you here. And then they just wedge themselves between whatever they're like in between. So that's me. I just kind of go in, and if I want to be there, I'm gonna be there. And that could just be me. I'm not super into the zodiac, but I guess maybe I am because I'm like, that's me being a Taurus.
Virgo's in the house.
Yeah.
So I think that becomes extremely important. So you have the collective. You are here now. So what becomes some of the inspirations in terms of the work that you personally create?
For me, it's creating whimsy and excitement, especially amongst folks of color, especially Black folks. I talk about this all the time, but when I was younger, there just wasn't enough for me. Like, I wanted to see, like, Black girls riding dragons and, you know, finding, like, magical gardens, things like that. There wasn't any of it, and I was bored. I'm like, well, where's that for me? You know, there's only so much that you can self-insert yourself into another character. After a while, you're gonna be like, all right, like now I want them to look like me. I've done this like 300 times. It's time for the one that's like myself. So that's what I aim to do. Just make more of the characters that I want to see or that I wanted to see when I was a kid. And hopefully that resonates with people. And so far it has. And surprisingly, not just like young girls, like tons of people will come up to me and be like, I love this. And it'd be like folks that you least expect. It's incredible. And, you know, it's a blessing to experience that.
So we're already talking about video games. And
Yeah.
the first thing you said, I thought about, when's the last time I seen a female on a dragon? And I think it's, have you seen the movie How to Train a Dragon?
Yeah.
That's probably and I think I was 30
Yeah,
at the
she
time
was
that came
great.
out.
Yeah.
But I give that as an example in terms of saying, what are things that not just flying on the dragon that you're not seeing, but you're also trying to create within the lexicon and within the dialogue that wasn't there before?
Peace and joy are my top things. I just want to create worlds that are peaceful and joyful, but also powerful and persuasive. I think all of that is important.
So today we come together around this theme around social justice, what happened in summer 2020, and also how we've transitioned forward. So we talk specifically about not what we're seeing in our childhood, the artistic expression, what was not sprinkled on the top, and now you are sprinkling that joy and happiness, but recognizing what happened at that particular time and how did that impact your work and just sensibility in terms of the world.
I think it amplifies it. You know, when things are tough or when things are hard, I feel like that's when you need to go back to the joy, because it's so easy. It's so easy to like give up and feel hopeless, but I mean, you got to find the joy, right?
That was a nice. I know the mic's not going to hear that, but that was a great
Bummer.
moment.
Like put the mic over there. That's what I'm after, though. Like seriously.
But girl, dad, we're here, but also that experience. So Women's Month, thinking about how important it is for individuals to one, see themselves, think about the creators in space, how they create it. Like, how do we bring that together in your opinions? And you being someone that runs a collective, creates work, and also you deal in other spaces that are talking about the development of the next generation. Like, what are some important keys to kind of think about?
I think the thing is, if you have an idea about building community or you want to start something, just start. Like, just pick it up and do it, no matter how small, like building an Instagram page or starting like a group chat with just people that you want to vibe with. Like, even just starting there is such a good way to push yourself forward and build momentum. Because if you have an idea and maybe you get together with some others, they might have an idea, and then you snowball and you build upon that. I don't believe in being a monolith. I always want to hear from other people. Like, if I know I have a bomb idea, I'm going for it. But if someone's like, I know how you can make this 18 times better, and they tell me and it's dope, I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. Like, let's move forward together.
And so I think I'm not saying I can't tell if collaboration is difficult or nerve wracking, because part of space is we want to make sure that we are appreciated before we start blending, because sometimes that we're not acknowledged when we decide to automatically blend. How does that show up in your work? And so I think specifically about women are not monolith. There are different forms, shades, and expressions that exist. And so when you think about that, how do we kind of operate in ways that art becomes a connecting piece, a healing piece, to have more dialogue, kind of like what we're doing now?
That was mad questions. You gotta cut.
I gotta. So,
Yeah,
this is, so I gotta hit more because I'm like, I know you're gonna answer one and be like,
Yeah, no, give me like one.
So how do we think collectively about, and I use the word womanism loosely as a male, to say how do we think about how art creates a more collective space that is not monolithic, but also is appreciating of the collective?
That's the thing about art. It's just free expression if you'd like it to be. So it'll never be a monolith because someone's always going to have their different spin on it. And that's the fun part, you know? Like, that's the thing about art too. I think people sometimes get a little bit discouraged because they're like, oh man, like I see this other person also drawing whimsical black women, right? It's like, okay, but they're not you. So you do it, you know? You figure out what do you bring to the table? Like, what makes yours unique? And even if it's not that unique, like, keep creating, because it's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart that's pouring out on the canvas, and that's the exciting part about art, or at least to me. Like,
No,
clearly,
yes,
clearly, I'm just like, I want to see the emotions.
And so part of that is like, I'm not an artist, but I probably do some things.
I thought you were, so.
I know, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I think specifically about when you create work, and I think, is it important for you to create work that you are seeing, or that you're able to just express yourself?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think that is actually a great question, because that's something I'm grappling. No, it's a great question. Yeah, it's something I'm grappling with now, actually, because I love drawing my people, but then I'm also like, I kind of want to explore like maybe just shapes, maybe just colors. You know, we'll see. Whatever feels like the correct expression, because at the end of the day, like, I'm a black woman. Like, whatever I do is like black women's artwork. So, you know.
I think that's dope that you just said that. In contrast, we say the correct expression. As a question before we kind of go to the audience, is there such thing as the correct expression?
I don't think so. No. I feel like as long as you're respectful, then you can put your own spin on it. I think that's just life. Don't you?
You can ask me. This is about you.
But I just asked.
Okay, I would say to that point, yes. In considering respectability politics, there's a possibility that there are particular ways that I need to operate. My normal mode of operation is to make sure that I am respectful of those around me, to not be seen as a threat or anything else, but also be able to convey my mission or my ideas in ways that I believe are digestible, versus not the way that I have to receive things, but digestible in ways. And so when you kind of have to kind of operate on that particular chord, it potentially could become difficult to try to figure out, am I saying it in a way that's digestible and safe for someone else to receive? Because I want to be safely received. And that's where my correct is like, it may be correct in terms of I'm doing a course correct so that I'm able to operate within spaces that I want to be included that naturally may not express or accept my disposition.
Well, I think we run into a conflict, because I'm like, I don't know. I hear that though. Like, being digestible is important in certain settings, but I don't think that should be every day. Like, I don't think that that's living, really. I think you need to sometimes express yourself in a way that's not digestible, or like you can't eat baby food all the time, you know?
It's delicious.
Eventually, don't say that.
I got you.
Don't say that. Eventually, you got to get to the grown-up stuff. So people just gonna have to learn how to chew. Because were the greats trying to be digestible? I don't think they were. You know, you break the mold, and you might do something amazing, or you might discover something about yourself. You can't let yourself be steered by other people's emotions all the time. You just got to do you.
Because I do realize before individuals have a particular expression that is attempted to take up space or recognize this is my space, that I do recognize that there are spaces that I do take up. Just my presence alone is taking up space in the room. Before I've made a statement, before I've heightened or escalated this conversation to a realm of like, oh, he's really good at what he's good at, I'm already taking up space. And so I kind of understand that kind of metaphysical place in spatial reality that I'm already in the room. But sometimes there are individuals, I'll say in the male persuasion, that feel like they need to say more to take up more room. But sometimes if you talk too much, you might lose space in the room. And so sometimes creating that work from a particular space, and I think that's an important question when I think even to the audience, to yourself, that I create work that makes me feel good, but I create it from a particular space that's about the joy and the little laughter over there, because I'm doing it with good intentions, which is different. As I'm coming in space to dominate a room and just, yo, you see me, which is very different than saying you just take it how I give it. Versus saying, what do we want? In a more cohesive space, because everybody, and that's why I said that moment of me negotiating the delivery is because I want to be digestible, because my goal is relationship, not for you to just give you this hard shot. What do you think you ask the audience? You got a question for the audience?
No. I mean, what I do hope, though, I hope that you got some, like, good stuff from this talk. I hope that I was able to inspire you a bit. And if you have any questions, feel free to chat with me during the event or reach out. I'm happy to chat.
Before we close out, let's make sure you give out your contacts so they can find you in the other art spaces and social media.
I'm always on Instagram, so just find me there. It's bad. Addiction. True. Oh, at my Instagram is Alana Ladson Art. So it is very, very complicated, as you heard, Alana Ladson Art. So that's me on Instagram. And honestly, that's my website too. So if you want to check that out, you're welcome to.